Welcome back to the Press Club. I'm Clinton Reynolds and I'm joined by Maria Fontenelle, 1000 Words Media, and we've been discussing our top stories for the past week. We thank you very much for staying tuned to this program. Maria, some of the things happening last week, very tragic story in Canaries where this 2-year-old child drowned in a barrel. I mean,
no,
neglect.
That was beyond tragic, yes.
Unfortunate, tragic. I mean, there's so many things, there's so many facets to this. But where do you start? From information, life. It's a life. That's the first thing. So, I mean, no one wants to see loss of life.
And it's a child, and I think regardless of the circumstances, you do have to express some sympathy to the families.
Very much so.
Because sometimes we engage in some careless actions. Does not mean that the outcome does not affect us very negatively. And I think, again, with some of the backlash that I've been hearing, I think that family is suffering even doubly, because you have the loss of your child's life, but then you have the public coming out and just condemning it, some people very harshly.
Yeah.
So I think the
But is it warranted though? Is it warranted?
I don't know the full circumstance, but I would say based just on what I've heard, it would seem to me that accidents do happen, as somebody said, but it seemed that there was a lot of negligence. I don't know if you would call it gross negligence, but there was a lot of negligence. You know, children, you know that they're curious, they're learning, they're in that stage of life where they will try to get involved in everything. You know that, which is why you have babysitters, which is why you leave them with someone. You don't leave them on their own. Unfortunately, in this instance, the child was with somebody who was not thinking beyond the next 3 steps. And now the child is missing. What are the dangers? What are the possibilities of the child having gotten hurt? And making sure that that did not happen. And oftentimes, you know, the child is 2 years old, I guess, in that period, nothing's happened so far, so what's going to happen? Which is why you need sometimes you need an older adult to be there with children, because as you grow older, we get a better idea of the dangers of life.
It's true.
We get a better idea of the facts of life and death, that somebody's life could be lost so easily. So when you are younger, that is not so much of an impact on you. And a child, an 18-year-old, you might say that she's old enough to know, but not necessarily. At 18, sometimes we don't really, that's why you have a lot of things you do at 18, would you do it now? Yeah, because as you get older, you're more aware of what happens in life and the dangers and the full impact of your actions.
Personally, I was getting down on, you know, whoever was responsible for the child at the time, you know, and my wife and I had a conversation. She's like, you know, but that's easy. I mean, just put yourself in that young person's place. Could have been any one of us, because, you know, I have young nieces and nephews. Yeah. And, you know, just for a moment think, okay, they're one place, not even paying much attention, and then the next minute they might be somewhere else where they should not be, God forbid, and something happens. You know, these things do happen. And when I looked at it from that perspective, I was a little bit more sympathetic to the family and, you know, empathetic, because it's easy. I mean, if a child drifts away from you, that child could get into a world of trouble, as was the case in Canaries, in a matter of minutes.
There's a phrase that says God watches children, drunks, and dogs, because these are, you could say, they get into vulnerable. And then they do so much things that if